We begin the movie with a special DEA unit carrying out an operation to capture the leader of the Mexican cartel, Memo Lucero, a Colombian trafficker who saw the opportunity in the Mexican border towns, started operations in Tijuana, and created the most lucrative gang in the entire world. Several DEA members had been infiltrated for years to dismantle the organization. Among them is Demetrius, one of Sean Vetter's closest friends. While the mobsters are drinking with the music at full volume, the team manages to enter through the back of the warehouse. They neutralize one of the guards without using their weapons and then throw flash bombs. They surround the criminals and take down the armed guards. The cartel leader manages to escape through a secret exit and gets into a disguised vehicle. Vetter remains behind him and warns of the vehicle's presence. He follows it down the highway, and thanks to the traffic, our protagonist manages to catch up with them. He neutralizes the trafficker's bodyguard and points a shotgun at him. Memo tells him that he has no idea of the magnitude of his mistake. He has just sentenced the lives of his entire family. His companions appear and arrest the trafficker. He will be transferred to a United States prison. When reunited with his best friend, Demetrius celebrates with excitement, adding that it took them 7 years to finally arrest Memo. When they return to their families, they will celebrate the success of the operation as it deserves. Our protagonist decides to call his partner to inform her that he will have to stay in Mexico. They need to complete a couple of things to get exit authorization. They carried out the operation in a nightclub in Mexicali located south of the border between Mexico and the United States. He thinks he'll be able to return home in 2 days. Unexpectedly, Vetter takes her by surprise by entering the house, confessing that he lied because he wanted to surprise her. Some time later, the DEA superior reports that from now on, things will be different. By catching Lucero, they cut the organization off completely. They will send a message to anyone intending to fill the gap left by Lucero. The cartels know that the United States will not allow them to keep contaminating the country with their illegal substances. Peace will be restored and drug trafficking will stop circulating completely. In the next scene, we see a cartel taking over the shipment and several territories of Lucero's organization. Later, Memo's lawyer informs him that they are being attacked by another organization. They hit the entire network. He had never seen anything like it. They leave one alive to make their name known. The only message they leave is Diablo. Memo becomes furious and asks him to do whatever it takes to retake control, to which Ramon responds that they are doing everything possible to remain firm. They exhausted all their options. Lucero asks him to connect him with Mateo Santos, one of the cartel's main operators, who informs him that the situation is complicated. At any moment they will come for them. They are being hunted by another organization. Lucero asks him to take care of his family. It is the only thing that matters to him. The next morning, Lucero's lawyer is neutralized in public by a woman at point-blank range. While our protagonist is at a barbecue with all his friends, Lucero's rival organization contacts some hitmen to ask them to finish off Vetter. At nightfall, the hitmen break into Vetter's house. In an instinctive act, he pushes his wife to the ground and defends himself with his pistol. During the confrontation, he receives a shot in the abdomen, but manages to kill one of the hitmen. The others, seeing the situation, quickly flee. Vetter approaches the dying hitman, who before dying, whispers that he will not be able to kill Diablo. He asks his girlfriend to call the police, but when he gets closer, he realizes that she was hit by a bullet. Vetter tries to keep her alive, but due to the blood loss, Stacy ends up dying. When regaining consciousness in the hospital, his friend informs him that he has been unconscious for quite some time. He lost a lot of blood. He was lucky the paramedics arrived in time. Vetter asks about his wife, to which Demetrius gives him her necklace and tells him the news that she has already been buried. Our protagonist loses control, and his friend calms him down. Demetrius takes him to Stacy's grave, and Vetter dedicates a few words to her in silence. Some time later, our protagonist decides to visit the cartel boss, thinking he is responsible for sending the hitmen. He notices the photos and asks if that is his family. Memo refuses to answer, and the agent becomes enraged. The guards intervene, but Memo tells them everything is in order. When handing him a cigarette, Memo tells him that if he'd wanted to kill him, he would already be dead. Vetter senses that the order to kill him comes from higher up, but to identify the person responsible, they must first start from the ground up. Eventually, they will find someone who has information. Together with his partner Demetrius, Vetter goes to the house of one of his trusted informants. Big Sexy operates on the margins of the criminal world, using his knowledge of the streets and his network of contacts to obtain information. Although he is not directly part of the cartel, he is aware of many movements in the underworld of drug trafficking. Sexy informs them that there is someone making very rough moves at the distribution level. They are operating in the new organization. Sexy tells them that there are some guys moving substances more frequently at the church. Maybe they could get some information that would be useful for their operation. At nightfall, they enter the neighborhood, and Sexy releases his dog with a sensitive nose for illicit substances. After a few seconds, the Chihuahua detects a vehicle full of substances. They call a DEA tow truck to seize the vehicle, and a lady comes out of her house to stop them. The agents identify themselves and open the trunk to check the interior. When seeing the substances, the lady reveals the name of the vehicle's owner, nicknamed Overdose. She had no idea he was involved in the world of crime. They will find him in that house. The agents decide to force their way in and realize they were attacked. In the other room, there is a corpse on the floor with scars on its back. In his skin, they carved the name Diablo. They investigate the bedroom and find more corpses. At that moment, the agents are attacked from the attic by Overdose. Demetrius yells at him to stop. They are the anti-narcotics police. Despite this, the gang member keeps shooting, saying he won't let them kill him. The agent manages to calm him down by saying he will leave his weapon in plain sight, so he can trust them. They don't want to hurt him. Overdose tells him he thought they were the guys who killed his friends. Demetrius asks him to lower his weapon. They want to help him, but by shooting at them, he is complicating the situation. He must cooperate, so they all get out unharmed. When the patrol cars arrive, the gang member tells them that since Memo was arrested, the substances have become scarce. Their price went up too much. The new boss promised he would help him to stay in the business. Demetrius asks him about the new boss, to which he replies that he does not know his name. One day he called him and told him that was their only interaction. Vetter tells him that he is lying, unloads the gun, and leaves a single bullet in the chamber of the revolver. He asks him again for the name, but Soberdosis swears that he does not know anything. Vetter pulls the trigger, and seeing that things are serious, he confesses that he managed to hear they called him Jack. He does not want trouble with anyone. The rest of the substances will be found 2 blocks away in a gray vehicle. When checking the call records, they notice he received 10 calls from a tanning salon. The next morning, they head to the tanning salon and cross paths with a man Soberdosis mentioned. Vetter approaches him and asks him to stop. He decides to check his license plate, but he only has a fine for jaywalking. Furious for being stopped without any reason, Jack insults him, and the agent drags him out by the hair. He asks him about Soberdosis, but he replies that he does not know what he is talking about. Vetter tells him that from his business number they called a drug trafficker 10 times. Jack points out that 90% of his clients are users. He has nothing to do with that. Vetter tells him that Soberdosis confessed that he is his supplier, to which Jack refuses to continue answering his questions. He points out that his civil rights have been violated just because a black addict nicknamed Soberdosis mentioned his name. If he wants to talk, he must call his lawyer. Vetter gets furious and slaps him. Demetrius intervenes and asks Jack to leave. Vetter tells him that he never mentioned that Soberdosis was black, yet he knew. It is evident that he is hiding information. Later, Jack goes to see his partner Garza, who is the one responsible for calling Soberdosis from the phone at his business. He tells him about the situation and asks him to give him a beer. Garza turns his back and his partner shoots him in the head. He had been ordered to take out Vetter, and he did not do it. He calls one of his associates in California named John Doe and informs him that they must move the merchandise right now. John Doe replies that they still do not have enough clients, to which Jack orders him to find them. He will be in Tijuana to handle some business. Meanwhile, Santos is guarding the cartel leader's family to move them to a safe zone. They get in the vehicle, and when they try to start it, the car bursts into flames and explodes within seconds. Upon receiving the news of his family's death, the cartel leader decides to call Vetter to make a deal. He tells him that when he was a child, he used to sleep with his whole family in a single room. They had no electricity. The floor was dirt. When it rained, they could not sleep because the drops sounded too loud on the tin roof. Vetter interrupts him and asks him to tell him the reason he wanted to see him, to which the trafficker replies that he could help him. The agent leaves saying he lost his chance to talk to him. Lucero opens up telling him that they killed his wife and his son. The agent comes back and sits beside him. Memo tells him that there are several traffickers waiting for a chance to grow their organization. They take advantage of the most vulnerable moments of those on top. It is likely they are looking for new buyers. If he gets enough cash, he will be able to reach them easily. He gives him a note, and our protagonist leaves. To carry out the operation, Vetter pretends to be a millionaire interested in entering the world of illegal substances. Pomona, one of the Devil Cartel's associates, tells him that they will charge 18 grand for each shipment. Vetter stands up telling him that he is being scammed. Pomona stops him and tells him he will charge 15. That is the maximum discount he can give. At that moment, one of the girls comes over and sits on his lap without saying a word. Vetter asks her to get up, to which Pomona asks him if he likes men. The agent stands up furious and the narcos begin to surround him. Demetrius prepares his weapon, but Pomona starts laughing and calms the situation. He asks him to sit down and tells him it is very funny. It is better to keep talking about business. Vetter tells him that he needs to do a lot of business. For that, he requires a good trader. He asks him not to disrespect him again. He does not want him to try to ridicule him. He does not care about the men around him, where he comes from. If someone talks like that they get their face smashed in 3 seconds, the only thing he cares about is business. Pomona tells him that they will make good deals. He must get a clean vehicle. They will do the exchange on Friday at 2 p.m. next to pier number 73. The next morning at the Los Angeles headquarters, Vetter informs his team that they must stop the devil before they become the next cartel bosses. From the internal investigation, they assume that Jack could be one of the leaders of the organization. All the clues gathered so far point to him. On Friday, they will meet with some partners of the new cartel. They will set up an ambush and interrogate them until they get information. It will be a risky operation. Any mistake could be fatal. When Friday comes, our protagonist executes the operation while several of his teammates camouflage themselves in the dock. The trafficker searches him for any signal, but luckily the agent was not carrying a hidden microphone. To try to intimidate him, the trafficker starts talking about the case of the cop whose wife was killed. He insults her in every possible way and mocks her death, comments that enrage the agent. He knocks him down and begins to punch him in the face until he takes his life. Suddenly, a Los Angeles police officer shows up. The agents recognize him and realize he is not part of the unit, so they shoot him in the back before he could pull his weapon. At that moment, Pomona blows up the vehicle that supposedly carried the merchandise. A shootout breaks out and 3 agents are gunned down by traffickers who are also undercover. Pomona manages to escape with a gunshot wound to the shoulder. Then Demetrius notices that Vetter killed the trafficker with his fists. To cover for his partner, he shoots the body using a criminal's weapon. Because of what happened, the DEA director asks him to come to his office. They will take away his license for 6 months. His decisions are being driven by his thirst for revenge. He lost his sanity in the middle of the operation, and 3 officers died because of that. He did not even realize that the traffickers had set a trap for him. He understands what he is going through. What he needs is time to grieve. They will give him a psychological evaluation and then make a decision about his future. Not knowing what to do, he goes looking for Memo to inform him of what happened. The traffickers had set him up. He let his emotions take over and ended up getting 3 of his partners killed. There is nothing he can do now. They took away his badge. Lucero points out that he is fighting against a billion-dollar business. He is trying to take down a monster all by himself. As a cop, it is impossible. He must become a monster. For everything he is risking, he realizes that his wife was wonderful. Vetter tells him that she was everything to him. He met her when he was 15. He would probably be dead if she had not been part of his life. He was a former gang member who decided to change his life for her. Then Memo tells him that he knows the hiding place of the Devil Cartel stash. Before sharing the location, he needs his help with a transfer. There are many inmates in prison who want to kill him. Some time later, Vetter decides to talk with his partner to ask for help. He has the location of the Devil Cartel's stash. Last night, he went to check it out and has everything planned. He spoke with Sexy to ask for help. His partner tells him to let the department handle everything. They are not gang members anymore. If they left that world, it was for their families. He will not be part of his team. Vetter has been on a streak of disasters, and then his partners must step in to fix them. He will not risk his family. Before leaving, Vetter tells him that he would help without hesitation if he were in the same situation. On the expected day, our protagonist meets with Sexy and his men. Suddenly, his friend shows up to join the operation. They are like brothers, and he will not let him go alone. Vetter hugs him, and Demetrius tells him that he has several bulletproof vests in his vehicle. Once at the location, Sexy's men use a machine gun to scare the traffickers. They grab Pomona and take him to another room to ask him about the date when he will deliver the money from the drugs. Pomona answers that he just has to make a call to coordinate it. The agent forces him to do it and makes it clear that he must avoid using trafficker language. Otherwise, he'll be shot in the head. Pomona contacts Jack and they agree on a deserted location. When they arrive at the designated point, the trafficker lands in a private jet and tells them he will open a new beauty salon 5 kilometers north. He decides to open the door to check the money, but the agents surprise him. Jack insists that he is not the leader of the organization, only a regular trafficker with a bit of authority. Vetter asks him to take them to his leader, to which Jack replies that he will not answer anymore. So they start torturing him until he gives up information. He swears he has never met him. He does not even know his name. He was supposed to take the money to an airport 15 kilometers from the border, deliver it, and then leave on foot. Vetter forces him to take them there. He must act normal. While they head to the airport, Demetrius places a tracker hidden among the stacks of bills. At the airport, the corrupt soldiers ask him about the bruises on his face. Jack replies that he had an accident while carrying the merchandise. He gives them one of the bags and apologizes for the inconvenience, explaining that he visited his girlfriend and they had a couple of beers. The superior of the soldiers, with no remorse, orders them to kill him, and without hesitation they shoot him in the head. Then they take the bags, without checking the rest of the plane, and leave within seconds. The agents get out and hotwire one of the vehicles to follow them at a distance. Surprisingly, the narcos park at the same place where they carried out the operation to capture Memo. The agents get out and enter through the sewer where the cartel leader tried to escape. They move in stealth and Demetrius neutralizes one of the traffickers without making noise. They end up splitting up and our protagonist reaches the room where they keep the money hidden. He keeps moving forward and runs into Santos. Vetter calls him by the name Diablo, to which Santos starts laughing, claiming that he is mistaken. Suddenly, one of the traffickers attacks him from behind. Afterward, we see Memo being transferred while letting out a small laugh. Back with the agents, Demetrius realizes that the narcos are about to kill his partner. Just as they were about to gouge his eyes out with a knife, Demetrius shoots the traffickers. Vetter manages to break free and stabs his attacker with his own weapon. While Demetrius fights the soldiers, Vetter chases Santos, who tries to escape through the secret exit. He dives into the water, and when he comes up, Vetter shoots him in the leg. Despite this, Santos gets back up to make another escape attempt. He tries to drown him, but our protagonist manages to grab the gun and shoots him, killing him instantly. Coming out of the sewers, Demetrius helps him get away from the area. The next morning, the authorities investigate the escape scene of the cartel boss. The attackers used heavy weapons, killing 2 officers from the prisoner's office and leaving others injured. The gunman helped free the cartel leader Memo Lucero, who was serving 2 life sentences for homicides and drug trafficking. The prisoner was being transferred to a maximum security prison. Later, we see our protagonist in Colombia looking for Lucero in his hometown. Thanks to the story the trafficker told him while in prison, the agent suspected that Memo would try to hide in his place of origin. Even though the trafficker is guarded by several men, the agent decides to approach. Memo is surprised to see him, orders his guards to stop, and invites him to sit down for a conversation. Vetter tells him it will only take a couple of seconds. He says he has been tracking him for 7 years. His way of operating was very different from the rest of the criminals. To avoid being traced, he never returned to the places he visited. Until today, when he came back to his hometown, Memo reminds him of the day he was arrested. He was about to escape, but Vetter decided to intervene. That day, he warned him what was going to happen if he had let him escape. His wife would still be alive. His arrogance led her to her death. Just like the arrogance of coming back to his hometown, he is very brave to come to his territory and try to kill him. Vetter gets closer and pulls out a pair of handcuffs. He tells him that if he wanted him dead, he would already be dead. He places the handcuffs on the table and asks the guards to arrest him. It turns out that several DEA agents were in the place, along with some Colombian soldiers cooperating in the capture of the cartel boss. In the last scene, we see our protagonist saying goodbye to his wife.